welcome back. Today's show, I'm going to talk about a couple of things. I want to talk about the immigrant caravan, and I'm also going to talk about a game plan. Um, Irregardless of what's going on, I mean, there's a lot of YouTube video footage of crazy things, conspiracy kinds of things going on with this immigrant caravan. Um, One of the things that first crossed my mind is sometime back I did that blog, and I think we talked about it on this show about the fall of Rome and the barbarians at the gate. Now, I'm not saying that that's what's happening, but it seems kind of suspicious of what's going on. All the things kind of coming together. There seems to be a culmination of a lot of different events. The wildfires that seem to be kind of mysterious out in California, burning so fast. The fires being so hot that the houses are absolutely ash. And then you have vegetation that's still standing. Some of it's still green. I don't know. Seems kind of weird. Some of the other things, all the shootings, all these crazy shootings going on. A lot of stuff just seems to be, I don't know, too coincidental, be coincidence. So I'm not going to talk about that, but I do want to talk about the part about being ready. Irregardless of whatever conspiracy may or may not be going on, things are happening. Wildfire can happen in our area, whether it's influenced by somebody with the malice intent, or just happenstance. Somebody carelessly flips a cigarette butt out a window, or leaves a campfire burning and doesn't put it out completely. Whatever it is, these things can happen, and they do happen. So, my question to you is, what would you do if you only had a few minutes to evacuate your house? Okay? Because I know for most folks that will probably be interested in this type of show, there's some kind of person who's prepping. They're ready for something to happen. They see the writing on the wall. So that means that most of the stuff that you have stored is probably going to be in your home location. Some of the more wiser ones probably have some caches somewhere, but where are the caches? Are the caches within the same boundary that you reside in? Are they in the same town? I mean, you can, get a storage facility somewhere in town and store stuff. You can store stuff at somebody else's house, a friend, family member. But if your cache is close to where you are, there's a good chance that the cache may go too. So what are you going to do? How would you deal with that? I know the thing that I talk about all the time is a plan. Have a plan. Have a backup to the plan. I'm assuming that that's because of my 25 years in the Army. Every time I did an operation, we always had a plan. We always rehearsed those plans multiple times before we went out and did them. In some cases, you only have one chance to rehearse it. So, because the up tempo is so fast that you only have a few seconds or a few hours maybe to create the plan and then rehearse the plan, and then you're basically executing the plan. Right now we have time. We have time to logically and methodically create a plan that's well thought out, where we're not in duress, we're not under stress. We know things happen, so we can sit down and we can plan these things so that we can cover all of the potential contingencies that may crop up during whatever the event is that your plan is for. Um, Additionally, we also have time to rehearse these plans, to talk to our family members, and we'll talk about that in the show here coming up. When you have family members or friends who aren't on board with this whole prepping thing. But we have time to rehearse these things. Rehearsing is as important as the plan itself, okay? First, if only one person knows, and that idea or that plan is in their head, it's an idea, it's not a plan. If something happens to that person, then whatever that idea / plan was goes with them. So you need to have a written plan so that if something happens to the one who is in charge that has the plan, then the whole group, the whole family isn't going to suffer. You know, I mean, you may be unconscious. You may not be home when this thing happens. You know, heaven forbid, you know, you may lose your life. So let's take care of those that we want to leave behind. I mean, that's the whole purpose of doing all this, isn't it? Is to take care of our family and our friends. So write the plan down, okay? Which kind of leads into the next topic, because the game plan I was talking about is, you know, if something happens, so stuff hits the fan, and, you know, I want to focus specifically on women, but the same is true for men. But I wanted to focus on women because, you know, a friend of mine, Eve Gonzalez, just finished her book, Determined to Survive, Mother-Daughter Journey. It's available on Amazon. It's available on our website. But I realized when we were doing this that sometimes as guys, we don't connect and we don't put ourselves in a woman's shoes, and we don't look at the things that are going on from their perspective. So I wanted to look at a game plan if stuff hits the fan from a woman's perspective. Again, as I said, just like Eve's book, there is great information in there. There is a lot of stuff, and men, you can benefit from that book just as well or as much as a woman can. So, you know, just because it's written by a woman and it's about women and for women, don't prejudice it by saying that, oh, I don't need that. We all need information. We can learn from everybody. Okay, I can learn from you. You can learn from me. I watch a lot of other, you know, YouTube guys. I used to watch Doomsday Preppers, not because I necessarily believed 100% of what they were prepping for, but some of them did have some pretty good ideas. I'm not shy. I will learn from everybody. You know, I used to learn from my troops all the time. So game plan, stuff hits the fan, a woman's perspective. So here's the situation. So you just went to the store, you know, you're doing your daily mom taxi kind of stuff. So you got the kids in the car, you know, you may be coming back from a soccer game, whatever. Some reason you are not at home, okay? Now, a lot of it, some of these things are going to depend on how close you actually are, how far away you actually are from your home. Within the city, you know, 20 miles-ish, that's still a pretty good distance, especially if you're going to have little ones with you, and depending on especially how little those little ones are. So one of the first things that you need to do is you need to have a call it what you will, get home bag, bug out bag, survival bag, whatever you want to call it. But inside that vehicle, I call it just an emergency bag. It's just got stuff in it that will help me through any type of emergency. So inside that vehicle, you need to have this bag, and that bag needs to contain some very specific items. I have a list of recommended items. If you're interested, shoot me an email, send me a contact off of my website, and I will give it to you for free. It may not be 100% comprehensive, but I assure you that it will at least get you from where you are back to your home. Okay, so in that we are going to talk about some of the things. So one of the things, and a lot of this is going to depend on where you live. Okay, if you're up north, then there's things that you're going to probably want that's a little bit different than folks maybe from the south. So you have to think of what the weather is going to be like in your area. Okay, so stuff hits the fan. It's some type of a natural disaster. Okay, big storm came through, knocked everything out, blocked everything. That's one thing. Whatever it is, I mean, you can even get into the crazy stuff, financial collapse. I think that's a very real possibility, and that's something that everybody needs to think about. It almost doesn't matter what the event is, because the first 72 hours are all going to be pretty much the same. Essentially, the biggest difference between stuff hits the fan to the end of the world as we know it to a natural disaster, because in essence, all of those are going to be an earth-changing or a life-altering event. Okay, so the biggest difference between all of those is the duration of the recovery afterwards. Okay, some folks in Katrina, in Louisiana after Katrina, have still not gotten back into their houses, and some of them may never. These wildfires in California, I just seen an article that there's some Indian mound something or another. So a lot of these houses may not get rebuilt. So those folks who've been in this, experienced this fire, they are going to be in a life-altering, world-altering situation. They may not be able to rebuild their house. So if you're on your way, you're out doing your daily running around, mom taxi kind of stuff, something happens, EMP, the car shuts down, almost any type of disaster that's going to happen. There's a good possibility, depending on where you live, again, how far away you are, but there's a good possibility you're not going to be able to drive there. So let's just say, for the sake of argument right now, that you're just running around doing your mom taxi stuff in town. So, and you live 20 miles-ish from your house. So, average person can walk 3 miles an hour. So, at the best, you're going to be at least 8.5, 9 hours just walking. Now, if you add in the fact that you have, kids with you, it's going to be even longer, because, they're not going to be able to keep up as fast. They're going to get tired. They're not going to want to walk anymore. And if you have a little one, you're not going to be able to walk as fast or, do as much, because you are, you're going to be tired from carrying the baby. So you need to think of what you're going to do and how you would do in the event that this happens. So let's say that you're 8 to 9 hours away from your house. You're looking at probably at least 2 days. Okay. In all honesty, I mean, unless this happens like at the um, wee hours of the morning. I was going to say something else, but I'm trying to change it here. Unless this happens in the wee hours of the morning, you're not going to have enough time to get back before dark falls, especially now in the winter when you have less and less sunlight. So you are going to be camping somewhere overnight. Okay. Um, the other thing that you have to think about is the safety of you and your children on the way home. Okay. Um, I hate to say it, but everybody out there is not nice and friendly. Um, People will kill you to take your stuff. And if this is stuff hits the fan or life altering and they think that, the world has ended as they know it, uh, there's a very good possibility that they will try to take everything that you have. So that means you're not going to want to walk on the main roads. So you're going to need to know a back way or a way that goes through, cross country, as we call it in the military, basically through the woods. So you're going to need to know how to get back to your house um, in multiple ways. You need to have multiple ways to get back to your house fast because you may not be able to take the most direct route, even if you live on a main road. Okay, so you're going to need a map of the location, and this needs to be a paper map, whether it's one that you have printed off of the internet, or you can go to USGS sells maps, 1 to 24,000 topographical maps. There's a lot of different sites. Again, if you need help finding some of these, or if you want um, a product created for your location, contact me, let me know. We can help you with that. Um, but you're going to definitely want to have a map. Okay. Um, Even if you do not know how to read a map, which is a skill that you should learn, um, there are still ways that you can navigate with the map um, to get to a location without even having a compass. Okay, there's a form of land navigation called orienteering, and orienteering uses landmarks and terrain features in order to get you to a specific location. Okay, um, so so having a map, having a flashlight. Now, one of the flashlights that I recommend that you get, it's that big mag light. It's about, I don't know, 10, 12 inches long, and it's pretty heavy. So this thing is not only a flashlight, but it's also potentially a good weapon. If you have an attacker coming up, you crack him in the head with this thing, and I assure you, or somewhere else, especially if it's a guy, I assure you, their intentions of coming after you are going to be greatly diminished. So, so you want a flashlight, you want a means, you want a map, you want a flashlight, you want a means of starting a fire. A lighter, waterproof matches, something. Um, there are a lot of other ways. I'm working on a book um, that's a basic survival book. I hope to have it out probably at the end of this month, 1st of December. And in it are a lot of these different skills that you would want to have and know in order to survive this. But you need to have some items to help you to get there. You're going to want to have at least enough food for 72 hours. Um, I would recommend that you have at least a week's worth of food in that bag, but at a minimum of 72 hours. And some of the things that you can put in there are that either don't require heat, um, or very minimal amount of heat. They have like lentils in these bags. They're already basically cooked. You just basically warm them in a pan. You can either warm them in the pan or you can eat them as they are. If it's a sunny day, you can throw them on top of a rock, and the heat from the sun can warm these things up enough that it knocks the chill off of it. But the good thing is it has the protein and stuff that you need that's going to help you in this time of crisis. Okay. Some other things are like Cliff Bars or some other kind of organic trail mix kind of stuff. Trail mix is another item that I usually keep in my bags. I eat trail mix all the time as a snack at home. So you want to try to eat or try to put things in there, foods that you would normally eat, because your body is already going to have a lot of stress. And if you start throwing in food that is not part of your normal diet, it's going to really throw you out of whack. So you can figure that you're going to travel, let's say 4 hours the first day, okay? So you stop, you're going to want to create a campsite, you're going to want to get a fire going. In the case of the stuff hits the fan and the world ends as we know it kind of situation, you're probably not going to want to advertise where you are. So you don't want this huge honking bonfire that you see on TV next to the beach. You want as small a fire as you can possibly have, to enough to keep warm, keep animals away, and provide some bit of comfort. Okay, if you have this huge fire, people for miles around are going to be able to see you. When I was in the Army, I was told that the drag of a cigarette can be seen for over a mile on a dark night. So imagine that huge bonfire that you see, in these beach scenes in these movies where they're having this big beach bonfire. That thing could be seen from space. Okay, so keep your fire small. Another item that I recommend that you have, especially if you have little ones, have those emergency blankets, the ones that have a gold side and a silver side. Some people tell you that you want a wool blanket. Yes, a wool blanket. If you can put a wool blanket in there, that's good too. But at least have one of these emergency blankets for everybody that is in your family. Okay. The good thing about those is they not only help to keep the heat in, but they also help to keep the rain and the weather out. Okay, so you can basically sit on the blanket, pull the blanket over the top of your head, wrap up in it, and basically stay pretty dry. And even if you're going to have to sleep, you're going to have to sleep sometime there, you can wrap up in the blanket, lay down on the ground and stay warm. Okay. So now a little bit about the campsite. So one of the first things that you're going to want to do around where the fire is going to be, you want to start to clear that area back at least 15 feet. Okay. Because you don't want the fire to get out of hand. But the other thing that you want to do is you want this area to be the place that you guys are going to sleep. And you want that area to be free of dry leaves, sticks, anything that's going to make a sound if you step on it and move it. Okay? So clear the area about 15 feet, enough that you can all huddle around the fire. By pushing that stuff out and by having the natural debris around you, the leaves, the sticks and stuff, um, the likelihood of somebody being able to approach your camp without being heard is minimal. Okay, so you're going to be able to hear people or any other thing coming towards the camp before they actually get to the camp. Okay, now once you have this area cleared, then you want to create your fire ring. Okay, and again, keep this fire small, so you only need something about yay big around, maybe a foot. And then you're going to have to collect firewood so that you can keep fire. Now, an alternative to this is you can get a sterno stove, which is basically a little aluminum frame, and these cans of sterno that about yay high and about that big around. And they'll burn about 12 hours or so, at least the ones that I had. So you can get those and you will never have to even build a fire. You can just light this thing. But now this is definitely going to want to have a lighter or a match in order to get it going. Another option is a candle. You can get big candles, get the big ones about yay big, and stick it in like a tin can that you get, green beans or corn in, and that will also help to keep you warm. Now it's not going to be, sunny and 70, but it will help you to stay warm on chilly nights. Okay, so those are a couple of options that you can have, but you need to think and you need to plan. That's the whole point. Plan what you're going to do, what you're going to need, what skills that you're going to need, and then you know what you need to work on, because then you can evaluate what you already know or what you already have, and then figure out what it is that you would need in order to get through this. So you make it through the night. Next morning, you start out, and hopefully in 4 or 5 hours, you make it home safe. Okay? But the key thing is have a plan, and I don't mean something that's in my head. I mean have a written plan. Sit down and identify the potential routes that you can take to get from town. And I mean, where you go. If you go to the Walmart, if you're going to the soccer game or the football game or whatever, you know where those locations are. So plan contingencies. If something happens and I'm here and on the way home, I'm going to be somewhere between here and here. Those are the things that you need to sit down and logically and methodically think about, consider, and establish, so that when and if these things ever happen, you're not caught by surprise and you're not caught unprepared or unready. Okay? So that's the show for today. Again, we'll talk about some other stuff in the next show. If you need to contact me, guy@greatlivingsources.com. You can contact us via our website at www.greatlivingsources.com. If you go to /shop or click on the shop tab, you can look at all of the different products and stuff that we have. That's also where my books are, and that's where the new book will be, as well as on Amazon. Eve's book, Determined to Survive, A Mother-Daughter Journey, is already on there. Great book. I highly recommend it. I cannot emphasize enough that you need to have a plan. And, whether you have us do it for you or you do it yourself, have a plan, go through all these different things. All right? So stay safe, and we will talk to you tomorrow. Thank you. Bye.